Hey, what's up guys, my name is Charlie. Today we're going to be reacting to some more nostalgia critic, and it's going to be the Pagemaster. Oh boy, I'm excited to watch this because I absolutely love the Pagemaster. Now I know a lot of people don't like the Pagemaster, but as you know, I have a taste for bad movies. Yeah, I remember watching the Pagemaster as a kid, and I found the animation incredible, the cartoon work. It was fascinating for me because it actually had all my favorite actors, so to speak. It had Macaulay Culkin, probably screwed up his name. I'm so sorry. I butchered your childhood. It had Christopher Lee, Patrick Stewart, Whoopi Goldberg, and Nimoy was in it as well. And it had Ed Begley in it. He was in the Star Trek Voyager episode. I can't remember the episode's name, but he was trying to steal technology from the future by using that time machine. But we're getting off schedule here, this topic. Yeah, the Pagemaster. I absolutely loved it. A lot of people gave it a lot of hate, but I found it really good. The only reason I liked it is because of the animation work as a kid, because I didn't really watch a lot of sort of cartoons, so to speak. I watched like The Sword in the Stone, and the Pagemaster was sort of the second sort of cartoon movie I ever watched, so to speak. But I'm very fascinated to revisit what it's all about because whew, it was a good movie for me as a kid. Yeah, let's watch this video. Let's go.
Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it so you don't have to. We all liked Michael Jackson at some point, didn't we? But that doesn't mean he can just throw any crap on the screen and expect us to buy it. That's why I have some serious hang-ups with Moonwalker. One of the strangest and most bizarre... this is a Moonwalker. So, what the hell were up with those clips? Huh?
The Pagemaster.
Pagemaster? I never watched a Pagemaster. I did? Well, what was it about? Oh, yeah, the Home Alone kid, the
Yep.
reading adventure.
It was good.
Pagemaster! Yeah! What a memorable movie that was. Okay, by that total lack of memory, you can probably tell that this movie didn't exactly leave much of an impact.
Come on,
And
it
why
was
should
good.
It's boring. Nothing's developed, nothing's structured, nothing's anything.
I
It's
found
pretty
it
much
good.
just a film fart. It happens, it's unpleasant, but you forget about it just a few moments later. It was a strange attempt to try and get children to read more. A noble cause, but a botched up delivery.
It
So,
didn't make me
let's
read
take a
more.
look at why the Pagemaster is not only dull, but why it's really dull. Let's take a look at our first problem, the producer, Ted Turner. God damn it, stop trying to educate us, Ted Turner! You're not good at it!
Yeah, jeez.
The second major problem is the title. I mean, the Pagemaster? Even that sounds boring. It sounds like a fake award you give out for a library's employee.
I remember
of the month.
this. There
Without
she
missing a single
blows.
day's work, we knight you as the Pagemaster. Anyway, we cut to our hero played by Macaulay Culkin named Rich. Oh god, not another Richie Rich movie! There's only so much Culkin I can take in a year! No, his name is Rich Tyler, and he's in trouble because he has one of the typical syndromes that every child movie character had in the 90s.
Yep,
He's
a
an
bully.
A, he's a geek, B, he's a scaredy cat, C, he's socially awkward, or D, all of the above. If
Probably
you
all
guessed
of the
D,
above.
I apologize in advance. So as the credits roll, we see his father is upset because Richard seems to be more occupied with fearful statistics than he is with just being a little kid.
I signed him up for Little League. He drove everybody crazy with statistics about how you can develop tumors from being hit in the head with a ball. Claire, he put it in
Wow.
a medical journal. And now I'm building him a tree house. In a tree he refuses to climb. I don't know. I just want to be a good father.
But I just hate him so much! So to help him overcome his fears, we see his father tries to build Richard a treehouse. But that doesn't seem to work out very well.
Look, solid as a rock.
Dad, 8% of all household accidents involve ladders. Another 3%.
Wow, I despise him already!
Look at an 11% probability.
Look kid, you're not Al Gore. Stop throwing numbers around pretending they can hurt you.
Rich.
Ooh. Ouch.
Can't argue with statistics, Dad.
Here's something you can do. Go down to Gutman's hardware store, buy a pound of these.
And stab yourself repeatedly with them.
Dad,
Son, you can't live your life based on statistics. Now, come on, buddy.
I think you can.
You can do this.
Alright, but if I get sucked into a contrived animated adventure, I'm blaming you. So we see Richard riding to the hardware store as apparently everything's trying to kill him for some reason.
God is not pleased with you, Culkin. I will smite you before you make the Nutcracker movie. Getting even with Dad? I'm getting even with you. Good son, goodbye. Ho ho ho, I got a million of them. I am God, you know.
Unable to go any further, Richard pulls over to the creepiest library he could find.
Hello?
There better not be anything whimsical in here! He comes across a librarian played by Christopher Lloyd,
Christopher
who tries
Lloyd.
to get to know him better, but maybe a little too much.
You're in need of a fantasy.
I love this scene.
Look, all I want is...
Adventure.
It's so creepy. I loved it as a kid.
You're a boy who loves adventure.
No, that's not it.
Oh, Jesus.
Threats and monsters. Graveyard. Yes.
I need an adult!
It's horror for you, boy.
If every librarian was
I'm
like this
sure of it.
librarian, it would be great.
I think we need a Sonic Says right now.
Kids, there's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's no good. It's your body. No one has the right to touch you if you don't want them to. So what do? You get out of there.
But I don't want any books. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I only came in here because of the storm.
You mean you don't need? I see.
That's fine, that's fine. Ooh, a little girl. You are looking for adventure!
Oh
So
boy.
Richard stumbles around and finds a ceiling full of images that I'm sure won't be
Remember this.
reappearing in this movie.
Yep.
But things suddenly go strange, imagine that, as
When
the
it
ceiling
melts.
starts melting,
Yeah, I
filling up
remember
the
this.
room with colorful ooze.
Oh god. The
Is it
dragon.
me, or does this look like the evil opening to Reading Rainbow?
Take a look! It's in a book! Reading Rainbow!
Turns
When
everything
Richard
into a
wakes up, he
cartoon.
sees he's transformed into a comical cartoon puppet. So, really, what's changed?
You are an illustration.
A corporate tool used by studios to make money. So Toilet Paper Beard reveals himself as the Pagemaster, master of the written word.
Maybe you can show me the way
I
out?
just realized that.
Fiction. A to Z. Where your journey begins. To find your way home, you must face 3 tests. Horror, adventure, and fantasy.
Or you can make a left at sci-fi and exit through the door.
But it's so less incredible!
So he bumps into a talking book simply named Adventure, voiced by Patrick Stewart, who really knows how to put the
Patrick Stewart,
dick
yeah.
in the dictionary.
Look, all I want to do is get out of here.
Of course you do, matey. We all do. But this is a library, mate. Not everything's as it seems.
For example, the kids section is really the porno section. We can talk
Wow.
about that. He also comes across another talking book named Fantasy,
Yeah.
voiced by Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg, I knew
I
it.
gotta straighten out my Little Mermaid underwear.
Please don't make me think about Whoopi Goldberg's underwear. They try to help Richard out by showing him the ways through the library. But for the most part, they just partake in spewing out book-related puns.
I'm a book, honey. I can read.
You fiction and non-fiction.
You know that short story?
I'll have you know, I'm a classic.
A classic misprint.
Hey, if we arrest anybody, we should probably book them. I wonder if Ellen Page is in this movie. Did anybody watch any films with Rex Reed? Hey, the film's not trying, why should I? So we also find that every time they open a book, creatures, people, and sometimes even locations can pop out of it.
Huh?
Reminds me of the Ghostbusters dogs.
Zoom, motherfucker, zoom!
So they escape the dog by entering into the horror section, where all sorts of nasties await.
Are we still in the library?
Hi, lad. The horror section.
It looks pretty scary.
No
You
shit.
want scary? Stephen King is writing drama again. While they're in the horror section, they come across another book, confusingly enough named Horror.
I'm afraid
What?
This was my favorite character
And
as a kid.
and
I still love
Harper
it.
has a one-man show he's been working on for a while. You
I
should
love
see
this
it. Support his
character.
talent, or lack thereof. So they go inside a mansion where they come across the infamous Dr. Jekyll, played by Leonard Nimoy.
Yep.
Hello there, Mr.
It was shocking.
Dr. Spock.
Shocking
So
to
Jekyll
know
shows
the
them around the mansion and then offers them a
Star
more
Trek characters
teeny
are in
persona.
this.
Stay back! This is a man's drink.
can I have the olive?
Frozen acids.
Oh, you got me. I was actually trying to give you acid. You see, it turns out I'm quite loopy. And then Jekyll drinks the infamous potion, not really explaining why, as he slowly turns into the Incredible Hack.
Yep, the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Dr. J?
Mr. Hyde.
Wait for the reveal.
Mr. Hyde!
Ah! Who looks like a radioactive ape Muppet for some reason? So, after explaining nothing about the character of Jekyll and Hyde, our four heroes escape and find that the exit is actually closer than they expected.
Do you smell it? Breathe it in, mateys.
I farted! Damn it, I'm going to wear farts!
Oh god, that's gross.
So they find a boat that they use to row their way across the water and finally get out of this fantasy world of annoyance.
I wrote the book on sailing. In fact, I am the book on sailing.
Bugs! Bugs! We like jokes about books! On their way across the water, they come across another famous character of fiction, Captain
Yep.
Ahab.
Did you see it?
See what?
The devil of the deep. The white whale.
Yep.
Moby Dick.
There she blows.
There she blows!
There we go.
What?
God, I remember
Hell,
this from
Charles
my
Manson
childhood
suddenly
so
take
well.
over the animation? Dude, you guys have to be a little bit
It
more
got
clever
dark,
about your
didn't it?
writing schemes. I mean, God isn't just the light man up in the clouds saying, "Ooh, a dramatic moment. There's going to be a red gel for that." So they spot the sperm whale that literally looks like the sperm of a whale, as Ahab tries to bring the monstrous sea beast down.
Thou damned whale! Thus, I give up the fear! Oh shit, that did nothing.
So again, one of the great literary characters is just tossed aside without any acknowledgement about why he's a great literary character. Wow, I so want to read about people I know nothing about and stories that have little to no explanation. So fantasy and horror get lost in the commotion as Richard and Adventure are approached by some scurvy dogs.
We're missing two others, about his size. Did you see him?
He's all the catch we've had today.
Gross.
PR, we just laugh at random. Generic villain henchmen just seem to do that. So they take them to their pirate ship where they get to meet the greatest, meanest pirate of them all.
Long John Silver.
It's a pirate thing. So they're captured by the dastardly captain and are forced to come with them as they search for treasure on, where else? Treasure Island.
It's, in the middle, by the waterfall. No, it's east, by some broccoli.
Give me
Broccoli.
We are half-wits. It's west by a tree.
Don't they get trapped in a Playboy or something? But fantasy and horror come to save the day with no explanation about where they've been or how they survived.
Boy, I thought you two were goners.
If you replace the word thought with the word hoped. So there goes another character we've learned nothing about and thus have no interest in reading about. Was that their strategy? Going around to children and simply saying, "Hey kids, if you think books are boring, just remember, movies can be boring too!" So they then come across the fantasy section, which, like everything else, is just glanced over. Only this time there's a crappy 90s song to help us out.
There are miracles waiting, so keep concentrating.
God, I remember this song.
How delightfully forgettable.
Jesus.
So we come across some famous fantasy characters like Humpty Dumpty,
Yep.
Mother Goose, some flying tampons.
Yeah, I
Oh,
never
and
understood
fairies,
those flying
fairies that
things.
look like the novelty plasma balls you can get
Yeah.
at Spencer's. Give them a point for creativity. At last they come to the exit. It's just so close you can practically feel the ending credits roll by.
I remember the
But
dragon
we still
scene.
have one last boring obstacle to overcome.
Oh, earthquake!
No, it's a dragon, as he threatens
Dragon,
to
here we
gobble
go.
up our protagonist.
God.
God, even the dragon is boring. Look at him. He barely moves.
True.
Do something. Do something.
Do something! Do something!
Do something.
Space
As they climb the
Force.
mountain, they come across the skeleton of a knight who I just assumed couldn't get through this movie. The three books try to fight off the very slow-moving dragon, as adventure and fantasy have a very, sporadic scene together.
Don't try to stop me!
Be careful.
Where did that come from? This isn't the erotic section.
How would you like to curl up with a good book?
I love that bit as
Nah,
a kid.
give him a point for a
It's
funny.
hilarious.
But as Adventure has trouble fighting off the dragon, Richard decides to go grave robbing as he rips the armor off of the dead knight.
Yep.
In fact,
Fights
I want
the
to know the
dragon.
knight's story. What the fuck happened to him?
Yeah, what
It's a
happened to him?
million times more interesting than this half-assed bookie club. So Richard finally conquers his fears, acknowledges his bravery, and gets eaten alive for it. Wow, that was out of left field. Oh well, movie over. Ta-ta!
It's not over.
Wait. He's still alive? How is that possible? You're
He's
in
in
the
the
belly
digestive
of a dragon.
system.
You lose. He should be Kentucky Fried Culkin right now. What the hell am I missing? Alright, so while in the belly of a dragon, I guess, he comes across some more books because dragons eat books, I guess.
I think
don't
it's
know,
when
it's
he
almost
opens
over.
Jack and the
So he
Beanstalk
opens
one.
up Jack
Yep,
and the
that's it.
Beanstalk, which leads
I
to
remember
a giant
this.
plant growing out of the dragon's stomach. See, this is why I should digest my food, instead of leaving it alive to plot and scheme. So they defeat the dragon, sort of, not really, as they enter the exit that'll finally lead Richard back to the real world. And who should be there but the Pagemaster himself?
Oh boy.
Wait, what?
I know who he is. He's the guy who did all this to me.
Yeah!
Do you have any idea what I've been through?
Tell me.
I was nearly torn apart by a crazy doctor.
That's right!
And not to mention being tossed, squashed, and scared practically to death.
Tell that fucker off!
Think, boy. What kind of an adventure would you have had if I brought you here with a turn of the page?
A very short, non-life-threatening one.
If I had brought you here from the start, you never would have found the courage to face your own fears.
Oh!
Really?
Well, since you put my life
Bullshit.
in unspeakable horrors, I guess it's okay.
And in doing so, you triumph here and always.
Yeah, like his fear of pirates, fear of whales, fear of scientific monsters. You
Yeah,
know, all the
sure.
things you have to battle in
Ascending
real
didn't
life.
really make sense.
That's me.
That was you.
I'm ready to go home now.
We all are, kid. We all are. So Richard is returned back to his three-dimensional self, or as close as three-dimensional you could be, being Macaulay Culkin. As it turns out, the books seem to come with him as well.
I'm afraid you can only check out 2.
Look, I need... just this once.
Look, just stop going shh, okay? Your creep value is already beyond numbers.
Just this once.
Decent librarian.
Nice ass.
Librarian.
So Richard forgets all
God.
about his statistics and seems a million times braver than he was before. All because of the magic of reading books. Well, now wait a minute. How did he get all those statistics before anyway? There wasn't any internet back then. So obviously he had to read books. What the hell? He was already a bookworm. Why would you want to convince someone who does too much reading to read even more? This movie doesn't make me want to read. It makes me want to hurt people. The only way I can see this movie making any kid want to read is by threatening to play it again if they don't. I mean, the idea is nice, and at times the animation is impressive, but the
Yeah, the
movie is
animation's
just so
good.
uninteresting and boringly dull that I think it would actually scare kids away from reading than it would encourage them. And the way it glosses over all those famous literary characters, it's like the movie's as anxious to see itself end as we are to see it end. Well, the only upside to this movie, as you may have noticed before, is that, fortunately, forgetting about it is a very easy task. I'm a nostalgia critic guy, remember it? Usually. So you don't have to.
Oh boy. Yeah, I have to say, I enjoyed the Pagemaster. I still do. I haven't watched it in a while though. But yeah, I mean, it was one of like the first, well, second, I believe, sort of animations I watched as a kid. I think I watched it when I was really young. Um, and it was absolutely great. The animations were amazing. It was like an adventure to me. And I've probably just got a bad taste in movies, but, you know, people watched Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles when they grew up, but I had the Pagemaster. It didn't encourage me to read books, obviously. Reading is boring. But yeah, I mean, the Pagemaster didn't really inspire me to read, but it inspired me to think creatively. Like, a story can be, you know, really creative the way you think of it. Also, it had all the Star Trek characters in it, and that was totally awesome. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the Pagemaster. I think maybe it's just nostalgia, you know. I was a little kid and I watched it. That makes it automatically good. You know, I do that normally every time there's a bad movie. Just because I watched it as a kid, it makes it automatically good. Well, that's nostalgia for me. You know, I didn't really watch what everyone else watched. I always watched the worse of films. But yeah, I really did enjoy the Pagemaster. I loved the animation, the sort of cartoon work, the um just everything about it. I love the characters. It made me laugh. It made me absolutely happy. I had it on a VHS tape. I'd watch it every week. Honestly, to God, I would watch it every week along with The Evil Dead. But yeah, I mean, it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I think I could still sit down and watch it today. Hopefully it's released on Blu-ray, or hopefully one day on Netflix or something like that. But yeah, I heard a lot of people didn't like this. You know, it got a lot of slack, a lot of punishment. You know, and a lot of people may say, "Oh, how could you enjoy the Pagemaster? It was absolutely horrible. It was pathetic. It was a disgrace to Macaulay Culkin's career." But I don't know. It was just one of those movies I grew up with. I watched it every week, I'm telling you. And I remember so much about it. And it sort of stuck with me. I remember it's just one of those, for you it's bad, but you know, it's one of those bad movies that stick with you, that you go, huh, that actually affected me more than I knew. Not because it was bad, because it was like, it made me think, it made me do things and think things differently. I mean, it didn't inspire me to read books, but it inspired my imagination, how creative things can be, like scary stories and, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that, but I really did enjoy the movie, The Pagemaster. It was just one of those films I enjoyed as a kid. I would still enjoy today. But like I said, there's far more worse cartoons out there. I think we can all agree there's far more worse movies than The Pagemaster. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure to give a like, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.